Welcome back, everyone, to PRF's Strength and Conditioning workout. Today, we will be doing some lying work, working on shoulder stability, core control, and a couple of nice stretches at the end for shoulder mobilization. I'm joined by Jen again today. Hi, Jen. Thanks for coming. And for equipment, you guys are going to want a band. And Jen has actually a preferable anchor point here, which is a little bit higher than shoulder height. I'm going to demonstrate this with a lower anchor point. It'll work either way. Just be aware that with the lower anchor point, you'll probably end up hitting your legs or something, and it might not be quite as seamless. I'm going to recommend also a foam roller or a pillow just to stabilize the hips in certain positions. And then for the end of our stretch, a small book, just like 1 or 1.5 inches, and a small hand weight, so like 3 to 5 pounds, or a can of soup, whatever you have. So let's get started. We are going to begin with our warm-up. Shoulder protraction, retraction, elevation, and depression. So go ahead and start by shrugging those shoulders up. And then exhale, actively pull them away from your ears. And then on the inhale, pull up, feel the tension in the tops of the shoulders. Exhale, pull from the armpits. Think about sliding the shoulder blades down the ribs. Let's do 4 more. Working that movement with your breath. Thinking about the vertical positioning of the shoulder blades through this movement. And locking in especially that feeling of the depression, so that again, whenever your coaches tell you, shoulders down, shoulders away from your ears, what does that mean? It means using those lats and those serratus muscles to really pull the shoulders down towards the armpits. Last one. Big shrug, feel the tension in the tops of the shoulders, and then exhale, feel the tension release, and redistribute. Leave the shoulders slightly depressed. Let's go hands out in front of you for our retraction and protraction. So protract, push the fingertips away from you, and then retract, pull the hands closer towards your torso. Push away, feel the shoulder blades slide from east to west. Pull the shoulder blades back together, and it's push away. Pull back, retract. Push, feel the back broaden as your fingertips slide away. Pull back, feel the back slide toward the spinal column. Let's do 2 more. Inhaling as we retract, exhaling as we protract. Last retraction, and drop those hands. Give me 1 big shoulder circle, and let's find a nice neutral positioning with those shoulder blades. Lock in that neutral position as we head into a prone position. So come down onto your stomachs for another little warm-up exercise. So we're going to do our shoulder cars, controlled articular rotations. So start by lying one hand. Let's put your head on top of your right hand, and your left hand is going to reach out in front of you. All right. And we start by lifting the hand up off the mat, just 1 or 2 inches. Sweep it out to the side. Once you're in that T position, flip the palm up towards the ceiling, and then drive the hand back behind the back, thinking thumb up the spinal column. Once you're there, make sure you lift up off the back before returning out to your T position, flip the palm, and come out in front of you once again. Let's do it 4 more times. So it's lift up, sweep to the side, flip palm, bring the thumb up the back, keep that shoulder girdle off the front of the mat, and then lift the hand off the back. Come back around as you flip the palm towards the mat and wind up back in front. So nice warm up here. Continue out to the side, flip the palm, drive the thumb up the back. But we're also obviously engaging all the muscles up around that shoulder blade to keep the hand in its position off the floor. We've got 2 more on this side. Lift up, sweep, flip palm, keep the head of the shoulder away from the mat as you let the hand come up the back. It doesn't have to be very far up the back. You want it to be a controlled position and a neutral position with the head of that shoulder. Last time, draw the thumb up the back. Lift off first. Flip and reach long as you bring it back up in front of your head and release. Let's go ahead and switch hands. So, left hand now supports the head. We're going to bring our right hand out in front of us, Superman style. Palm is facing the floor to start, and same thing. It's lift, sweep out, flip the palm, bring the thumb up the back, and then lift off the back first as you reach long back past the hips. T position, flip the palm, and then fingertips right in front of you. 4 more. As we're doing this, try to keep that chest nice and square to the mat. So we're not introducing any rotation yet. Coming back down and around. Flip that palm, feel the rotation coming from the shoulder joint itself. Releasing the hand to the ground in between your sets. We've got 2 more after this one. As you bring the thumb up the back, maybe it goes a little bit higher as we're warming that shoulder capsule up. Last 2. It's lift. Shoulder blade is down. Come out to the side. Flip the palm. Reach long past the hip before you bend the elbow to draw the thumb up the back. Hand lifts up. Again, reach long down past your hip. And then out to the side. Rotate to flip the palm. Back up in front of the head. And release. Last time. Lift. Reach out long. In that T position, rotate the shoulder to flip the palm. Up the spinal column 1 more time. Get that distinct lift off. Reach down long. Last flip to rotate. And draw it all the way up and overhead. And release. Nice job. All right, let's do 1 more thing here in this prone position. Let's give the right arm a little break. So let's go back to head on top of the right hand. And the left arm is going to come out into that T position, okay? Let's go palm facing the floor. And we're just going to start with a lift and lower. So from here, again, keep those shoulders quiet to start, nice and square. Just lift the hand, maybe just an inch off the floor, and then lower it down. Lift as you exhale. Inhale, tap the ground. You should immediately feel the muscles in the back of the shoulder down into the scapula firing up here. Let's do 2 more. Last one. Take a quick break here. Relax the shoulder. And then before we go again here, think slightly depressed. Slightly retracted. So think slide the shoulder blade down towards the rib cage on the armpit side. All right, now as we do this next set, we're going to add a little bit of rotation. So you're going to lift just like we did. Now, rotate your head to look at your left fingertips and see if you can lift the chest slightly to rotate away. Then lower down and bring the head back to center. We're just going to do 5 of these. So it's lift, look, and then rotate. Small movement. And then rotate everything back to center. 3 more. Lift, look, and slight rotation. And bring everything back to the center. Last 2. Lift up. Look over the fingertips. See if you can draw that scapula towards the spinal column to aid in the rotation. And then return everything to center. Last time. Lift. Roll that head. And then add the rotation. And relax. Whew. Should feel that around the middle and top of the scapula working there for that rotation. All right, let's head to the other side. Head rests on the left hand now. Right hand reaches out to the side in that T position. And we start with just the lift and lower. So it's going to be set the shoulder first. Think head of the shoulder is nice and far away from the mat. And we're going to exhale, lift up, and then inhale, lower back down. Few little warm-up lifts here before we add in that extra challenge. All right, so feel the stability coming from the top and back of the shoulder. For the lift here, let's do one more. Rest the hand for a second, reset that shoulder if you need to, and then we're gonna add that rotation in. So it starts with the lift. Rotate the head to look over at the hand, and then lift up the chest slightly to get a little bit of rotation. Draw everything back to center. Doesn't have to be a lot. So it's lift, look, and it doesn't even have to be the chest. See if you can retract the scapula a little bit to get that hand to draw the shoulder away from the mat. Back to center. 3 more. Lift, rotate the head, draw the shoulder blade back to lift the shoulder off the mat, and then everything returns to center. Last 2. Lift up, look, and rotate. Last time. Exhale as you look and rotate. And then inhale, return everything down to the mat. Whew, all right, nice job. Let's do some planking for something a little less challenging. Okay, so grab your foam roller or your pillow, all right? Get that positioned underneath the part of the hips or rib cage where you feel that it supports you best, all right? And we're gonna start with just our forearm plank. We're just gonna hold for the first set, all right? So when you're ready, bring those elbows right underneath the shoulders. Think protract the shoulder blades slightly. Pull those abs up and under. And let's hold for 30 seconds here. Whew. All right, now while we're planking here, we want to think about creating as much active tension in the body as we possibly can. So think about integrating that whole forearm. Make sure you're pressing from wrist down to the elbow to actively scoop those shoulder blades into the armpits, all right? Once you're there, pull the armpits down to the hips to create the tension across the side body. Every exhale, see if you can scoop those top ribs up away from your shirt a little bit more. Make sure that your neck has no wrinkles in it here. So we're reaching long out of the crown of the head. And we're gonna do one more big inhale. And exhale, feel those ribs close up and relax. Take a break here. All right, now this next one is gonna be an extra challenge. So remember, if this one is not working for you, just come back and hold your plank again, all right? And do another set of planks. So we're gonna start with genie arms, all right? So instead of having your arms parallel like train tracks, you're gonna close them up so that your right arm is right over your left arm, creating a stable base from elbow to fingertip on each side, okay? Now from here, start by setting the plank. So think protract, pull the armpits, scoop the abs. All right, now with our left hand, we're gonna thread under until our fingertips are creating a little square here. And then we're gonna add rotation. Push away until your left elbow is straight. Now, bend the left elbow, re-thread into your genie arms. Let's do the opposite side. Right hand slides until it's underneath your shoulder. Press up into that rotation. Draw back down and thread back into your genie arms. Let's do 3 more on each side. So it's thread, press, draw down, and then return to start. Slide the hand out. Press up, feel that tricep. Bring it back to center, and then slide the hand back to the starting position. Last 2. Hand under shoulder. Rotate. Feeling the work in the chest and core here as we switch to the opposite side. Press up. Rotate under. Last time. Hand under shoulder. Press, extend the collarbones. Draw back to start. And switch to the opposite side. Back to center. And release down. Take a little break here. We've got 1 more plank. So, take a couple of big breaths here. And let's get ready to reset for our final plank of the workout. So we're going to do parallel forearms again. So when you're ready, go ahead and set those elbows right underneath those shoulders. All right? Press into the forearms, pull the scapula into place, pull the abs up away from your shirt, and then we're going to do scapular push-ups here. So we're going to do the retraction as the chest gets closer to the ground, and then protract, pull the chest away. All right? Now as you go, use your breath. Inhale, retract. Exhale, push the chest away, slide the shoulder blades away from one another. Using the movement and your breath together. Remember, the biggest pitfall here is moving the head rather than the shoulder blades. So I want you to think about a long line from the tip of your shoulder blade all the way up to the crown of the head. And we are not disturbing that line. The whole shape moves down, and then the whole shape moves up. All right, starting to burn. So let's do 3 more. Here's 1, retract down. Exhale, pull the arms together without actually moving them. Last 2, press the shoulder blades wide on the back. Final 1, think about pulling the spinal column up to the ceiling and bring it down. All right, let's roll off the foam roller. You can set that aside for a moment. We will need it again. So don't roll it too far. And you're gonna grab your band, all right? Now we'll need both sides of the band here, all right? So make sure it's anchored in a way where you have access to both handles, okay? And the first thing we're gonna do is our curl up for a little bit of more, we've already done some, a little bit more abdominal work, okay? Now, with our positioning, okay, your head is gonna be facing away from the anchor point, all right? So in other videos, we've done it with our head facing towards the anchor point, and we had to fight the resistance. In this setup, we're actually working with the resistance. So see if you can work into that flexion a little bit more. And you can give yourself a little more tension here to help aid with that flexion up, all right? So when you're ready, and again, you can set that foam roller underneath your knees here to give yourself support. We're going to take a big inhale to prepare. And then we're going to exhale, drop those ribs down, and peel the head, neck, and shoulders up and off into our forward flexion. Inhale, return back down to the mat. Let's keep moving. Exhale, curl up. Inhale, drop back down to the mat. When I say drop, I mean control your descent, of course. Exhale, come up. And inhale, return. Thinking about the band helping to guide you into that almost like banana shape from your rib up to your forehead. All right. And we're thinking gaze is like a little bit below the corner of the ceiling, all right? You want to think you could fit about a grapefruit between your chin and your chest. Just make sure that as you exhale, it's the space changing between the ribs that helps peel you off the mat. It is not, in fact, your head doing all the work. Let's do one more. And release. All right, this next one, we're going to add in a bicep curl, alternating. So you may want to loosen up on your tension a little bit. We will be having to move against the band now. So when you're ready, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to hold the curl up, all right? So inhale, prepare. Exhale, curl up. Head, neck, and shoulders levitate off. Palms flip up towards the sky. And we're going to go right arm curls in, extend. Left arm curls in, extend. Every time you reach that extension, I want you to think about reopening the chest and retucking those ribs. Remember, if your neck starts bothering you at any time, feel free to just take a little break down. You can do the same curl without the added flexion in the abdomen. All right, so we're feeling the work in the bicep, in the front of that upper arm, beach muscles, but they're also very important for stabilizing the forearm and wrist. And we're continuing to use that breath to think about knitting that rib cage down towards the mat. Let's do 2 more on each side. Last one. And bring both arms long and slowly melt back down to the mat. All right, flip the palms so that they're facing towards the mat. We're going to do a lateral raise, all right? Now the important thing here is setting the shoulder blades. So think about finding that nice neutral shoulder that we've had at the very beginning of the practice, okay? And you want to maintain kind of a flat shoulder against the mat here as we do a front raise. So, on an exhale, you're going to bring your fists straight up so they're over your armpits, and then slowly release them back towards your hips. Exhale, bring the hands up. Inhale, slowly return. Exhale, fists up towards the ceiling. Inhale, control with the lats down towards the mat. Again, as you're doing this front raise, you want to picture that the top of the shoulder is not really moving at all. That raise from the shoulder joint itself, the scapula do not really need to accommodate for this movement particularly. Let's do 2 more. Feeling the work at the top and front of the shoulder. Last one. And release. All right, for our next one, we're going to flip the palms so they're facing the hips. So you should be able to give your hips a hug here. And we're going to do a side lateral raise, all right? Like you're making a snow angel. So on an exhale, reach the hands out to the side, make that big T position with your arms, and then inhale, return to center, all right? Now same thing here. For this one, your scapula do have to move. So I want you to think about the tips of your scapula as you sweep out to the side. The tips are actually coming closer towards the front of the armpits. So then they come a little bit closer together as you bring the hands back toward the side. What we do want to avoid is the elevation factor, okay? So if you feel this in the tops of your shoulders, like here where your, well, for women, where your bra strap would sit on a racer back, all right, or where your neck probably hurts after you've been doing a lot of computer work. If you're feeling this exercise in that part of the shoulder, then maybe take a little bit less tension, just so that we're not using those levators to work into this movement. Let's do 2 more. Exhale, press out. Nice big snow angel. Inhale, return. Last time. and in. All right, now we're gonna add those two movements together so that we do a nice big arm circle. All right, so we're gonna start with our front raise. So we're going to exhale, press up over our shoulders, over our armpits, and then inhale, come out to the sides, around, back to the hips. Exhale, press up towards the ceiling, take the arms out to the T, and then swoop them down towards the hips to finish the circle. Keep it going. Feeling the work, the same place we did for our front raise, but then we're adding in that really nice mobility in the shoulder joint because we're finishing out that, it's really more of a semicircle here. And this whole time, of course, we're keeping those front abs, those top abs engaged. And if you want to add a little bit of a challenge, you can add your chest lift in as you come out and around to your hips. So it's raise up, lower the head. Hands come out to the T. As you drive back down, add your chest lift if you would like. And then lower the head, neck, and shoulders as you come back into your front raise. Let's do two more in this direction. Last one. And then we're going to switch direction. So this time, it's lower down, sweep out into your T, and then finish the circle back over your armpits. Down through the midline, snow angel the arms out to the T, draw back up towards your armpits, and then lower back down. Same exact movement, we've just switched the direction. Feeling that nice smooth sweep of the arms, controlling the head of that shoulder joint in the socket. And same thing, if you would like to add your chest lift in, let's add it in as we come from our front raise down through the midline. And then as you sweep your arms back to the T, lower the head, neck, and shoulders back down. So it's arms up, lower and lift the chest, arms to a T as the head lowers, and then arms back up towards the ceiling. Let's do two more in this direction. And if you really wanted to challenge yourself, you could always do that whole series holding your chest lift. All right, let's release the band for a moment. Give yourselves a little roll out of the wrists, a little look side to side with the neck if you need to release any tension there. Couple of big inhales and exhales. And we are going to come into the last part of our workout, which we are going to be sideline, okay? Now, for this portion, just to add a little challenge, I'm gonna recommend doing this with the foam roller underneath your waist and then your elbow on the mat so that you have to add in an additional core and shoulder stability element, okay? If you would prefer, you can do this position or this part of the workout fully sideline if that feels a little bit more supported. So pick your positioning, all right? You're going to be perpendicular to your band's point, all right? So your belly button should be facing the anchor point of your band, okay? And for this part, you really only need one portion of your band. So you can either double up and use the same, use both ends, or you can tie off your anchor point so that you just have one end free, all right? Now, anytime we're in this sideline position, I want you to really think about pressing that shoulder away from the mat so we're not sinking into the shoulder, all right? And we're gonna start with a classic row here. So hand is out in front of you. You're gonna start by exhaling and bringing the elbow back behind the ribs, and then inhale, back out in front. Exhale, thinking thumb right underneath the armpit, and then inhale, return, all right? Remember, you can adjust the resistance here in a couple of different ways. You can either choke up on the band if you have a band like me and it doesn't have a handle, or if you want to add in a little resistance, you can move further away from your anchor point, all right? Whichever position you've chosen for your side lying, let's make sure that the head is nice and in line with the rest of the spine, all right? So I always imagine if there was someone in front of me that was doing this exact same thing, I would be looking right at their head, okay? And you can kind of check and see if you have or are carrying any extra tension. You should be able to shake your head here with no problem. Let's do 2 more rows. Check in on that bottom shoulder. Make sure you're still pushing the mat down into the floor. And on this next one, hold the elbow back, thinking elbow is resting right above that hip bone, all right? And we're gonna do an external rotation here, okay? So fist stays pointing towards your anchor point, and then as we exhale, you're going to draw the fist up towards the ceiling, and then inhale, return. So the key here is that there should be a 90-degree angle at your elbow the entire time, all right? Exhale, fist to ceiling. Inhale, fist goes towards the anchor point. Should really be feeling this in the back of the shoulder. We're working those external rotators. So you should feel that the head of the shoulder itself is moving away from the anchor point as you work into this movement. All right, we're gonna add on. I'm gonna need a little less resistance, so I'm gonna loosen my grip just a little bit, okay? We're gonna start the same. So it's gonna be externally rotate. Now from here, I'm gonna press straight up, then I bring the elbow back to my hip and rotate back down. So it's externally rotate, 90-degree angle at the elbow. Press the fist straight above the shoulder. Draw the elbow back to the hip, and then 90 degrees back in front. Let's do 3 more. 90-degree angle up, and press. Draw elbow to hip. Release the hand back in front. Last 2. Press up, draw down, flip the palm. 90-degree up, press to the ceiling, elbow bends to bring the elbow back to hip, and then back out in front. Woo! All right, nice job. We're gonna flip around and do that same sequence on the opposite side. So same idea, find the position that's gonna work for you that you can maintain. I don't know about you guys, but my supporting shoulder on that side was working in double time for this side lying position, all right? So you do get the added bonus of the stabilization when you're up on your elbow, okay? So same thing, make sure that elbow's right underneath the shoulder on the supporting side. We're gonna start with our row. So elbows pressing strong into the mat, neck is in line with the spine, and we're gonna start with the row. Elbow comes slightly back behind the ribs, and then inhale out to the front. Now I know we did some rotation in our workout today, but this particular exercise is not incorporating rotation. So think about keeping that chest square to the wall in front of you. All right, and we're just working the mobility in the elbow and a little bit into the shoulder. Everything else stays strong and stable. And of course, you guys should have no trouble picturing where in the stroke this would help you out, right? Picturing that drive, nice smooth acceleration, back into the squeeze that we get at that finished position. Let's do 2 more. Feel that muscle engaging from under the armpit all the way down the side body. Last one. Bring the elbow right underneath the shoulder. Rest it slightly on that hip. And let's do our external rotation. Again, make sure you have the right resistance here. This is a much smaller muscle group we're using, so I'm going to lighten up my resistance. Palm is facing down towards the ground, and we start by just bringing the knuckles up to the ceiling and then closing that door back up, right? And that is really how I picture this movement, is that your elbow is the hinge on a door, all right? And your forearm is the door itself. So all we're doing is as we bring the knuckles up, we're opening the door up. And then as we close down, we're closing the door back into its resting position. Let's do 3 more, because you know we have to add on that press. Feeling that work in the back of the shoulder, external rotator cuff muscles here. Last one, all right? Again, I'm going to loosen my tension a little bit just to make sure that I can maintain the integrity of the exercise. And we're gonna start with the external rotation. Press straight up, draw the elbow back to the hip, and then close the door. So it's open your door, punch the knuckles to the ceiling, come back into your ending position, and then close the door back up. Let's do 4 more. It's press, draw down, close the door, open it back up. Knuckles to ceiling, bring it down, and rotate in. Last 2. Exhale, press. Drop the shoulder down as you close back up. Last 1. Make sure that bottom shoulder is strong as we close for the last time. All right. Now, you guys all deserve a stretch after that shoulder work. So we're done with the foam roller, so feel free to just place that off to the side somewhere. And you're gonna grab, or we're gonna be lying down, so you can thread that under the knees actually, for a little more comfort. And you're gonna grab your book and your weight, okay? If you have neither, you can do this just as well. It'll just be, the weight helps put you into the position a little more easily, okay? So you're gonna place the book off to the side and rest your elbow on top of it at about a 45-degree angle. So my elbow isn't right into my ribs. It's also not right out into that T position. It's about a 45-degree angle. Hold on to the weight with your hand, and your palm is gonna face away towards the wall in front of you, all right? From here, we're gonna externally rotate. So it's the same movement we just did, but now we're stretching instead of using the muscles. So you're just gonna slowly, and I do mean slowly, start to drop the hand down towards the ground. So you're thinking knuckles are starting to make their way towards the floor. And then once you reach a spot where you feel a stretch in the back of the shoulder, you're gonna stop, okay? Oh yeah, that's it for me. Now, and so the box will give you a little bit more lift, which gives you slightly more range of motion if you're a little bit more flexible in this particular position. And then take one more exhale and draw back up to center. We're gonna do that 2 more times. So it's just actively control the weight until you feel that that gravitational pull has the right amount of stretch. And you do have to maintain some muscular like endurance around this stretch, because you can't just let yourself relax completely, all right? So make sure you're not just letting the joint take all of the work. We're trying to feel the stretch in the back of the shoulder. Let's draw back up to center, and we'll do that 1 more time in the external. So drop it back, feeling the opening across the chest, and the stretch in the back of the shoulder. Maybe get a little bit lower on this last one, and then draw it back up to center. All right. Now, just push the book off to the side, or you can take it over to the opposite side, because we will use it on our other side. The elbow is going to stay in the same position we just established, but now we're going to go internal, all right? So this time, instead of the knuckles going back, our fingertips are going to go forward, all right? Now, rest your opposite hand, your hand that doesn't have the weight in it, on the shoulder that's working, and just make sure the shoulder joint itself stays in approximately the same place, all right? Now, we're gonna do the same thing. Slowly start to lower so your fingernails are pointing towards the ground. And you're gonna lower down until you feel a stretch from the back of the shoulder down towards the elbow. All right, and again, think about the shoulder joint itself staying in the same position. Shoulder blade is still flat against the mat. And then let's draw back up to center. We'll do one more of those. Slowly start to lower down. Keep the compression in the back body muscles to keep the shoulder blade from popping off. And then hold once you've found that sweet spot. And draw it up. Okay, let's switch sides. So if you have your book, take it to the opposite elbow. All right, same thing. We start with the elbow at a 45-degree angle. Palm is facing away, and we're gonna start with that drop back. So knuckles are going to go towards the floor behind you. Start to let the weight help guide you into that position. And one side will probably feel a lot more comfortable than the other. So on this side, I can get my knuckles to touch the ground. On my right side, I could barely get to the positioning at the same level as the book. So just notice, where the asymmetries are. Let's bring it back up to the top. 2 more times. Slowly lower down. Again, not maybe the most relaxing stretch because you do have to keep your muscles working to maintain the integrity of the joint. But I think a nice one, especially since we worked into that external rotation today. And let's draw it back up to center. We'll go one more time. Slowly lower down. And you really do want to kind of stop and assess as soon as you feel that stretch. And then inch or really millimeter your way down. If it's still feeling like you stretch, there should be no pain involved in this. And then draw back up to your starting position. All right, internal rotation. So now slide that box or your book out from underneath your elbow. Start in the same position that we just established, but now your elbow's on the ground. And slowly lower in the opposite direction. Fingernails are going towards the mat. And again, you can take the non-working hand and just rest it on top of that shoulder to make sure we're not popping it up and out to compensate for the movement. And then draw back up to your starting position. We'll go one more time. Slowly lower down. Shoulder blades are both flat on the mat. Once you feel the stretch, hold the shoulder stable. And then draw back up to center. All right, take your weight off to the side. Come up to a comfortable seated position. Let's end with just a few shoulder rolls to wrap up. Let's start with forward. So roll the shoulders forward for 3, 2, 1. Let's roll the shoulders backwards. Thinking about finding those shoulder blade positions that we worked with at the very beginning of the workout. Last 2, 1, and you guys are done. All right, Thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop us a comment, and we will see you next week.